What's going on, people? Good morning. Welcome to your morning view. It's not transfer view anymore because transfers are done. There are no more transfers right now.
Over.
So, yeah, it's over. So what's the point in talking about them? Because we're not buying anyone right now. We're not selling anyone right now because the window's closed. So now, every morning, we will have the morning view. Nice and simple. Nothing drastic. No massive change in name. Just the morning view. Nice. Get a cup of coffee. Get a cup of tea. Get a hot chocolate or whatever
I've
on
run
your way
out.
to work. You run out of what, tea?
A coffee. If I look half asleep this morning, it's because I went to my cupboard and I opened it empty. What an idiot!
Yeah, that's the worst. And the thing is, you see with things like tea and coffee,
I knew it was happening.
You know it's going down.
I knew it was going down. It's just
Right.
laziness. It's laziness. And then I opened it and I go, oh, it's annoying. I go, yeah, but you know it was low. You know it's been low for weeks, Owen. Just lazy.
Just change it. But you guys smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Remember, us link is in the video description below to join the channel membership if you'd like to do that. And also pinned in the chat, you can vote for us at the Football Content Awards or nominate us for a category in the Football Content Awards. It'll be an honor to get the channel nominated in any of those categories that you guys see fit. So yes, get involved in the chat. And you know what? We've been excited for this part of the season, Owen, even though it's early. And what we mean is by doing this show, because everything's transfer based during the transfer window. It's rumors. It's this journalist said this. It's Gerard Romero said something's happening and, oh, what's going on? Now we get to just talk about like stuff about our actual team that is there, set in stone. It's factual. The players are there. Yeah, there could be interviews and different topics and stuff like that and different quotes, which there's some today actually. But I like this because it's more, this is just what I prefer doing more. Yeah, transfers is a big part of everything. Yes, there's a lot of excitement when you get new players, but when the window shuts, you get to talk about what's really going on, and that's what we're excited to do. So we're going to be talking about Ten Hag's goals for the season. What is his aims? What is his ambitions? What is a good season? Now the transfer window's shut. Now we're 4 out of 4. We're starting to cook. We're starting to build some sort of confidence without getting carried away. What is the realistic targets? Bailly speaks out. We and KG touched on it a little bit yesterday, the back end of yesterday's show. But I know Owen wants to have his say on that, and a lot of you guys have been talking about it on social media as well. Malacia impact, we're going to talk about that. Carragher talks Martinez, and Anthony talks first goal as well, and everything else in between. If you guys got anything you don't want to talk about, drop it in the comments as well, or put it in the super chat, or put it in a comment in there, and we will get it read out. Owen, what are the realistic goals? Have they realigned for you after 6 games? Have they changed? Have they remained the same? You know, what are you saying? What's going on for you?
You know what? It's a really difficult one, that, isn't it? Because I do think the expectations have shifted already somewhat. Because, and it's not just like, oh, Owen, calm down, 6 games, this, that, and the other. But I think when, not necessarily even with the results, I think when you spend over £200 million in the transfer market, your expectations lift. Maybe not internally at the club, maybe not by certain Manchester United fans, but certainly outside of Manchester United, the perception of what you should and shouldn't achieve does change a little bit, right? And going into this season, at the start of this season, after 2 games in this season, after the majority, let's face it, of the transfer window this season, we were saying, top 4 still a big ask, isn't it? Top 4 still a big ask. We'd 5th probably again, maybe 6th again, but with better football. And it's not because we've beaten Liverpool. It's not because we've beaten Arsenal. I think just in terms of the last 4 games have been better. And when you look at that starting 11, and I guess with the squad, but you look at that starting 11, you go, I think you've got to be pushing for the top 4. I'm not going to sit and say we're going to win the league or something, because that's ridiculous. I still think we're way, way, way off that. But in terms of top 4, why can't we push for top 4? We should. We should. When you spend that amount of money, you should. But at the same time, you've got a club like Chelsea, right? They spent world record fee for a Premier League club, world record amount of money. They're rubbish.
Exactly.
We see them last night. They were awful.
Yeah, awful. Yeah, awful.
What do you think?
Do you know what? I do think we need to look at this, and it's hard. It's hard to say. Do you stick with what you said only 6 games ago, or do you change? I think I like to have the ability to realign as you go along. Obviously, that was before we finished our transfer window. Anthony gave us that last little bit of boost. And when you see the turnaround, and then you see kind of what else is going on in the league, and then you see that, like, you remember that this season's kind of broken into compartments, like little sections, little subplots, little subsections. It's like, okay, well, let's just get to October because then we break. Let's see where we are then. Then it's like, then you get back from the World Cup at like what, back end of December, see where you're at.
Boxing
maybe,
Day.
Get to, yeah. But is that when it is?
Yeah,
Is that when it
the
comes
first
back?
match. The first match back is Boxing Day.
Bloody hell, how weird's that going to be? Jeez. So yeah, you get back. So Boxing Day is the first game back. Then that's literally a few days before the transfer window opens again, and you can reassess things. It's almost like just stay in and around it until the World Cup. If you can do that, then why can't we have a more positive season? And you know what? Were we being a little bit? I think the scars of last year, absolutely, we should have been saying, listen, let's just humble ourselves. We ain't got a style of play. We've got a new manager. We've got a lot of players to get out. We've got a high turnover of players to bring in. If we can finish even fifth at best and get a style of play and have a decent cup run and stabilize, then great. But what you do when you do that is you forget the impact that a new guy can have and how quickly he might be able to have it. That was us kind of taking the pressure off of Ten Hag because of how bad we saw it. And it ain't all fixed. We could go to Palace on Sunday and not win quite easily. And I'm not trying to jinx it. I'm just saying it how it is, because we are not the finished article. That's just how it is. But on the flip side, you go and beat Palace, and it's like, wow, we've won 5 and 5. Like, what on earth's going on here?
Although you get very Arsenal territory when you start saying 5 and 5.
And then the 6th game, what happened? Exactly, because the 6th game I think is it's Leeds at home. But I just feel like, why not realign game by game? And there is no he must do this or he must do that, and there is no you as a fan must stick to what you said this time and you can't change how you feel. I feel that already with what Ten Hag's done in them 4 games after the first 2 games, he's shown us that actually let's do this game by game, because actually he's having a bigger impact more early on than we thought. Than I thought. Anyway, I'll speak for me. I didn't see that turnaround coming, and I know it's
no, I didn't either.
That shows you can get a reaction. So I think, to answer the question, game by game, but absolutely, why should we not be looking at 4th? We have to be looking at 4th. We have to be looking at 4th. But it's not the end of the world if we don't get it. But we have spent a lot of money. We have got good players. We have got a good manager now. So
no, absolutely, and also as well. What you do have to take into account too, with United playing a bit better and can we go for 4th, is that, I mean, we know City probably going to win the league. They're always going to be there. They look ridiculous, right? But everyone else around Manchester United, is anyone else really playing amazingly well? If you compare United to how we're playing at the moment, to Liverpool, to Chelsea, to Spurs. I know Spurs are up there, they're grinding out games, but you do feel like one bad result and the wheels could fall off a little bit with them.
Yeah.
I mean, looking around at those other teams, you're going,
that's not much in it right now.
No.
Just stay in it.
It feels
Arsenal are top of the league. Arsenal,
and we beat them. So it definitely feels like, again, there feels like there are spots up for grabs. Certainly, again, are we going to win the league? No chance. But
sure, there's a lot of no's there. You sure?
No, but after 6 games, if you compare how we're playing to everyone else, there's not a lot in it. I would. This is probably one of the biggest compliments I could probably give United at the moment, is that any team, I do feel like at the moment we could give any team a game and we could beat any team. Maybe not City. You never know.
Yeah.
If we play how we played,
that's a big one.
But if we play how we played, the style of play that we've played against Liverpool and Arsenal, especially those last two Arsenal goals, that's how you beat City. So is this confidence? Is this confidence?
It is a bit.
Because it comes in and you go, I don't know about this feeling.
Yeah. No, but that doesn't mean again, and this is where it's hard as fans, because we're scorned. We're coming off the back of last year where we know what those players have shown, and what it is we need a longer sample size to really be like, I've got 100%, confidence in me that team's gone. That they've been obliterated. They've been ripped up to shreds. We're never going to see that team again. Even if we lose a game or we go on a little bad run where, you know, we haven't won in the last 3 when it might be 2 draws and 1 loss or something like that. Because things like that can happen. That's the thing. It's like you could say we haven't experienced any hardship yet. We have, because the first 2 games was absolute hardship. That was just pressure. And then Liverpool coming to town for, you know, on that 3rd game, that was pressure. And then we haven't looked back since. But we haven't experienced what it's like in this good positive phase to get pegged back and not win the game. To lose a game, you know, how do we respond after a nice little winning streak, a good feel-good factor, and you lose a game, and you might lose a game badly. You might be like, that was so out of character. Last 6 games that was like the first game of the season. That one, got to put that right on Sunday, and then you do, or do you go on a little slump? So I still predict a lot of this, even though right now we're doing that. We are at the moment statistically. But, you know, we will lose a game. And when we do lose a game, it's about how we bounce back. And it's about the manner of that defeat. If we lose narrowly, if we lose a game, actually how we've been winning some of the games, like, you know, like against Leicester where it was 1-0 and Southampton 1. If we lost one of them 1-0 or we drew 0-0 in one of them games, it's like, all right, cool. It's a long season. We're not going to go invincible from now to the end. So I just feel that as long as we're seeing the steady improvement, I'm not really getting infatuated with where we're going to finish. I'm happy to think about that secondary. And I know if you're a fan from another channel, from another team, you might look at that and say, "Oh, Man United trying to lower the expectations. They've spent this much money." But I'm happy to go game by game, see where we're at, and then break the league down into these little mini chunks, these little subplots, and just see where we're at.
Yeah, I do agree. And I think also, too, you would say that I think it's a good point you bring up about how do we react to our next defeat whenever it does come? Because the last defeat we had, we reacted to it brilliantly. You know, the defeat was so awful against Brentford. Since then, I think I saw something on Sky them last night saying that the running stats are way, way, way up, you know, and clearly he's galvanized that group of players. The question will be, when the next defeat happens, can he do it again? Can he galvanize the players? Have they bought in enough that when it doesn't go right again, they go, yeah, but this guy, we believe in this guy. And it would appear that everyone's bought in at this point. I think, as you mentioned about getting into chunks and chapters, I think that now we're getting into a really interesting chapter that the Europa League starts. How is that going to affect United going forward? I do think, not necessarily maybe because of the quality in the squad, but just the sheer size of it, you know, that I think we'll be able to manage that Thursday, Sunday, because the game tomorrow, you would assume that we're going to see at least, 10 players rotated and comfortably for United and then have a completely different starting 11 starting on Sunday. That's our strongest starting 11. And, you know, transparency, that team that's going to be starting on Thursday and a bad team over, you know. So I do think we've got the squad to deal with it. But then, you know, you start talking about match rhythm and all that kind of stuff. It's just, the season is going to be very unpredictable, and that's why I'm almost cautious about how to predict when it comes to United. Because look, last season, this is how wild it is, the Premier League, and I talk about how other teams are doing well. Last season, we were awful, we were rubbish, and it wasn't until like April that we were actually out of that top 4 race.
We were technically in it. There were so many games where we're like, well, remember that Marcel bit where he was like, well, there's 9 points up for grabs, and it was against like, I think it was Norwich, Leicester, and
yeah,
someone
Everton.
else, where it was like, if you win them, Everton was another one. We drew that. It was like, no, we lost that one, actually.
We kept losing games. We kept losing games and going, that's it, top 4 over. And then we were like, well, if we win next week, actually, we're back in it. It was just so, my point being is that if we can actually just win some games and actually play well, you would think we might be there or thereabouts when it comes to the top 4. Because everyone else, the Premier League's weird. You get weird results. You know, you do get teams dropping points to random people. You know, who would have thought, like, even City last weekend, they drew a Villa. It would have been rubbish. You know,
Carragher looked like he's on his arse going to get sacked.
Yeah, exactly. It just, honestly, you never know. So the point is that, you know, the way we're playing at the moment, maybe it's a bit naive just to completely write us off of saying, definitely not top 4. And I think, honestly, let's face it, pressure within the club will be probably on Ten Hag to be like, actually, if he doesn't get top 4, he's not going to get sacked. But there'll be some kind of feeling of, that was a lot of money you spent and you didn't get top 4. What's going on there, sort of thing. The pressure's on. Yeah. The pressure is clearly on.
The pressure's always on at a club like Man United. But I think as long as he shows that, especially if he won a trophy as well. I mean, that would
Which trophy?
Honestly, Yeah, I don't care, you know. Like, obviously, we're in the Europa League. Like, that's probably the best one that we're in. You know, FA Cup's big, to be fair. FA Cup's, you know, it's got a lot of history to it. And if you play, you know, if you have a tough path and you play the likes of a City in a final or a Liverpool or on the way to it and you beat couple of the big boys, you know, FA Cup or Europa League, yeah, 100%. I think Europa League. I think Europa League would be good because it's, you know, it's European, and once some of the Champions League teams drop down, but we are quite heavily favourites at the start of it. To be fair, you could argue that the FA Cup could be a big one, but it depends on the route, because we could get to the final having played not even a team in the top four. You just never know.
I said I mentioned it like last season. Again, no disrespect to him, but the final of the Europa League was Frankfurt versus Rangers.
Yeah,
like, you know, and a couple of seasons prior, it's Villarreal versus Manchester United.
Yeah, and we still couldn't get it done, so we should be. Yeah. So actually, really, the chances are you're going to play a top team in the final of the FA Cup. No disrespect, because obviously, look, Leicester were in it the year before last and won it. So I'm not saying that, but if whoever gets there deserves it. But you're going to face an Arsenal, a City, a Liverpool, a Chelsea in the latter stages. Probably, like, it's going to get to that semi-final draw where it's like, oof, it's 4 good teams there. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah,
this is the thing, though, isn't it, Flex? Like, you could tell, like, we're talking about semi-finals, blah blah blah.
Probably 6 months time.
6 months time, we're like, oh god.
Exactly.
That's Man United, though, isn't it?
That is Man United. So, but yeah, if he wins a trophy, doesn't really matter which one, you know. It doesn't. Even if he won the EFL Cup, if he won the Carragher Cup, it would be massive for this team. It would, because this batch of players, I don't want to be rude, but they are losers, aren't they? That, like, I know Rashford's won stuff before, and De Gea's won stuff before, and Luke Shaw's been there when they've won stuff. I get it like that, but in terms of like this crop in recent times of trying to do something
for United,
yeah, for United, 100%.
For United,
like,
but you could argue maybe that's why Ten Hag is playing certain players that he's playing. He said it after the game
100%.
against Arsenal, didn't he? He said, we've got, I demand high standards, but so do a lot of these players. A lot of these players have actually won trophies or had success elsewhere. Varane, Casemiro, Ronaldo, even the Ajax people. Look, they're coming from a winning culture.
Yeah,
Anthony,
100%.
Lissandro Martinez. So you look at that and you go, well, maybe that makes sense why he wants to play those players. They're used to winning. And some of the players that he has dropped recently ain't used to winning.
They're not. And that's what I mean about this crop of Man United players, not including the arrivals. That I mean the raw crop that have been failing when Varane weren't there, when Ronaldo weren't there, when Martinez, Anthony, and Eriksen, and all these types of people. Because, you know, like, we should have had that Europa League in the bag. Like, how can you not beat Villarreal? That was the first time they'd won it in their history, I think. You know, wasn't it their first European final, I think?
Something like that. But I mean, I agree with you. How could you not be that Villarreal? And they finished that season, I think they were 7th in the league or whatever. Yeah. But the next season, they got Champions League semi-final.
Yeah, well, they kicked on. Yeah, but I mean, that's what I mean. They kicked on in that moment of not being able to get it done, though. It just shows the fit. And also, we bottled how many semi-finals? Was it the FA Cup ones before? Yeah. Carabao Cup, like, is it like bottles? Like, we're known for bottle jobs in recent times at the latter stages of tournaments, and then obviously bottled a final on penalties. So I feel like any winning, if Ten Hag wins anything in his first year, I think it's going to be massive. Logan says 3 a.m. in Texas. I can't sleep. I love the channel. Big up to you, Logan. Appreciate that, bro.
Yes.
And Noam de Guerre says, how much progress will we make against the low block? That's been our bane. Yeah, I mean, look, a team that, it's not always low block, but a team that's less on the front foot than say like Arsenal when they played us, Liverpool maybe when they played us, like the Southampton and Leicester games. I wouldn't say that they completely dropped off and let us have the ball, but they're different types of games where we have a higher percentage of possession. I think we've done.
And they were, and I suppose, like you said, they weren't particularly low block, but they were away from home, so they're more favoured to come out onto us. It's a different ball game when it's at Old Trafford against a smaller team. Yeah, because we haven't really played. When we did play a smaller team at Old Trafford this season in Brighton, we lost. Yeah, you know, our other 2 home games have been against top 6 sides.
And
So
they did
that's
not
going to
sit
be
off
the
us. Brighton
no.
did
So
not
that's
sit
going
off
to
us.
no, exactly. So that is going to be the interesting thing of when a smaller side comes to Old Trafford and they do sit off, because they will, because
Yeah,
that's
like
what
Bournemouth,
happens.
like when Bournemouth come there
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
Still got,
what do
yeah,
we do then? What do we do then?
yeah,
That's going to be interesting, and I think that's when I think we've seen Ten Hag's very, he's willing to adapt. He is not hard and fast with his principles. He's got a way he wants to play, but if it's not working, he wants to win the game first and foremost. Principles can come later on.
yeah, exactly. Fizzo Fat Cat says, love from Singapore, letting the boss know Owen and Louis' chemistry is fire. Yeah, big up to Owen and Louis. Louis been coming on the channel, coming to some of the match views, having a lot of fun. So big up to him. And just watched the AFTV debate. Them two guys don't know how to listen. Hey, I've cooked them enough. But yeah, they did not know how to listen on that day as well. Let's read out some of the comments as well. Twisted Fate says the low block teams are where we can play the Eric Ten Hag way. Before it was only Bruno had to break the line, says Mohammed. Yeah, there's a lot less pressure just on him, with Rashford now, doing his thing. And Mohammed also says, with Eriksen and Anthony, I think we can break low blocks way more now. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, now we've got players of better quality in them areas. Hopefully we can be unlocking teams and creating more chances more consistently.
And also as well,
yeah, go on.
Tabaslow, who's been a member for 3 months. Big up Tabaslow. Big mod, the Gifter Supreme as well.
Yes.
Huge supporter of the channel. It's been a member for 3 months and says, Fleck and Owen, what will you take? Glazers out or the Premier League title?
Glazers out.
I'm surprised you even had to think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm surprised you had to even think
about it.
Yeah,
it's because it's been so long. You're like, I do want that Premier League, but Glazers out.
But, well, you would think once the Glazers do come out, more titles.
Exactly.
Yeah? One follows the other.
100%. Make sure you guys smash a like on the video. Remember to drop a like on the video as well. How are we doing at the moment? We've got 200 likes and nearly 1,300 people watching. Come on, guys. We are better than that. Come on, we can do this. I'm not even going to mention the magic numbers of what we want to get to, but I'm just going to leave it there that we're on like 200 likes, but we've got over 1,200 watching. I'll leave it there. And remember, it's pinned in the chat. You guys can nominate us in any category you'd like to for the Football Content Awards. If you would like to nominate us, then do that. And you can join a members club. Link is in the video description below as well. Eric Bailly. Eric Bailly speaks out.
Yes. Eric Bailly.
I mean, I'll kind of leave this bit more to you because I've kind of had my say on this. I'll chime in at the end, but what's some of go over some of the things that we're saying and how you feel about it.
Yes, so if you're not familiar, Eric Bailly, I'm not sure who he did an interview with yesterday. It might have actually been with like Manchester United's
I think it was Times Sport.
Was it Times? Right. Yeah. So he did an interview with the Times and spoke about his sort of departure from Manchester United and his sort of tenure at the club. He said, quote, "The club should avoid favouring English players and give everyone a chance. The club should encourage competition in the dressing room. I always had the impression that the English player was favoured. That is not the case at Chelsea or other big Premier League clubs. Some take it for granted that they're going to start, and that weakens the team. Fortunately, Ten Hag has a lot of character, and I hope he can change that." And he spoke about his departure. He said, "I met Eric Ten Hag at the end of last season. When he went to sign his contract, I was packing my bags because my intention was to leave. But he told me he wanted me to stay because he was going to give everyone minutes. I agreed to tour with Manchester United and he kept his word, but I don't want to play once in a while. I want to play every week and feel important." He also said, in a bit of, I thought was quite good for him to say, is he said, "I had good times and won titles. I played important matches and was voted man of the match in some. I think that when I was given my chance, I was up to it. I just lacked consistency," which is the key thing there. And I will touch on that in a second. As far as my opinions on it, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with the sentiment of what Eric Bailly is saying there. I think he makes good points. But basically, what he's saying that there is an English bias at Manchester United. Clearly, there have been favourites at Manchester United. Clearly, there have been people playing when they've not been playing well, and they don't deserve to play, and other people haven't got a chance. I 100% agree with him there, and I think that is absolutely valid in what he's saying. But also the other part where he says, "I want to play every week and feel important." You can't you can't ignore Eric Bailly's fitness record. It is. I mean, I even looked at it yesterday to make sure that I wasn't having my own like independent bias towards what he was saying. I was like, is this one of those sort of things where people assume he's never fit and all this kind of stuff? But at his time at Manchester United, in 6 years, he signed in 2016. At his time at United, so 6 years, he played 113 times for Manchester United. He missed over, I think it's like 94 or 95 matches through injury. He nearly missed as many matches that he has played for the club in 6 years.
And that's just through injury. That's not through management.
No, not
availability versus unavailability.
He was not available through injury. And I understand, and I said this before on a ton of these shows, that whenever Eric Bailly played, it was never an element, never a question of quality. Most times he played, you go, I tell you what, he's really good. He plays really well. But the expectation was that when's he going to get injured again, or is he going to be injured again? And from a manager's perspective, I suppose you go, oh, he's great, but I can't build my defense around it. I can't build my defense around that. How much in the last couple of weeks have we been raving about? Best thing about that back four is that they've played every single game. Been playing all the games. They're consistent. They're with each other. That back four has been the spark, really, for Manchester United this season. So I don't know if he can sit back and say, I want to be playing every single week, because I'm not sure your body wants to be playing every single week. But the sentiment of what he's saying, about the people playing, the English bias and the people playing and other people not getting a chance, I believe I totally agree. But the other part of it, I also agree as well.
Yeah, I think that his biggest grief was probably the most recent one, which is that actually last season, considering we were absolutely shocking, Ralph Rangnick comes in and, he still saw the same players ahead of him, when actually last season he was actually fit. He was
overlooked and he was on the bench. And he admits the fitness stuff as well. That's why I said I thought it was really important that he said he admits that. He said, when I played, I think I played well, I got man of the matches, I just wasn't consistent. So it's not as if he's completely blind to it. And again, I'm not saying, oh, you're deluded or this, that, and the other, because clearly he knows his body. He knows how long he's been on the shelf for. And I think he's right. I think he's right in everything that he said. You're right. Last season, he wasn't available. He was available more and he was on the bench. And he should, and let's face it, he should have been getting in the team more. And he does have a gripe then. And maybe that's why clearly he wanted to leave. But I said it in the preseason. Even though he played well in preseason, it didn't change my mind that I just don't think we could rely on him. But I think everything he said was spot on.
This is an interesting one. This is Daniel is basically he disagrees with you. Daniel does, and Daniel says, let's talk about this. Daniel says, Owen, that's a weak argument. You could say the same for Varane, but he's all right now because he's fit. We can't bench Varane because he's injury prone. So your argument doesn't carry the water, doesn't carry the weight. So it's basically saying, well, Varane's an injury prone player that's typically injury prone, but we're basically getting the best out of him now. What would you say to that?
I mean, look, everyone's not going to agree on these things. First of all, Rafael Varane is a far superior defender to Eric Bailly. That's one thing. I think Varane's injury record at Madrid, I don't even know if it was as bad as Eric Bailly. I would argue that Varane played more games over that period of time, from 2016 to he was at United last year. But over that period of time, Varane played more games than Eric, was available for more games than Eric Bailly. I get it, because people will say, well, because Faz brought up the other day, where's the same energy now for Anthony Martial and all this kind of stuff, right? I think there's qualities involved in it as well, I believe. And again, it's not, and you almost have to be careful what you say, because it's not that I disagree with him saying last season he should have played, because he should have.
Yeah, he's right.
He should have played last season. And but I do think the facts do speak for themselves.
Savage says, and then you get the other side, we don't need negativity. Bailly himself wanted to leave, even though Erik ten Hag asked him to stay. And he was leaking news constantly last season. A lot of people have come to that conclusion that, Bailly's the leak, because he's spoke so damning of players getting picked and favourites and stuff like that. Same thing happened to Dean Henderson when he came out and said what he said. It was like, they was the leak. When Pogba left, you see the documentary, it's like he was one of the leaks. Lingard leaves on a free. He was one of the leaks, and some people saying in the chat that Owen's biased to Eric Bailly. Well, I'll counter that, because at times when I was, even this season, was it this season, we had that little thing when I was like, Harry Maguire's better on the ball than Eric Bailly. And
Yeah,
like
I'm
people
saying
were
no.
saying, and Owen was
no.
like, Owen was like,
No.
no. Owen was like, listen,
No.
I'd rather have Bailly playing than Maguire. And I was saying, well, there's certain things, although we give Maguire the harsh treatment and stuff like that, he's better on the ball. And people were coming at me. That's what this is about. This is about opinion. And on this channel, we're definitely going to bring through. If somebody disagrees with anything we say, we're definitely not going to filter it out and be like,
and
I don't want
the
to take that
Bailly,
question. You know what I mean?
The Bailly being a leak thing, unless a journalist actually came out and said Eric Bailly said this to me, I think they're pretty loaded statements to say, about the whole he's a leak or this, that, and the other. Again, I just don't think there has to be, for certain players, a cutoff point where you go like, okay, like enough's enough when it comes to the availability stuff. And also as well, people will say, well, he was available a lot last season and he didn't play, but chances are, if he would have played, or a couple of games in the week, because we were in the Champions League last season, Tuesday, Saturday, or Wednesday, Saturday, or Sunday, or whatever, you think his body would have handled it? Because historically, it didn't.
Yeah, the evidence was there. The evidence was there. And I just think
and again, that's not me saying like, and this is what is wild as well with social media and this kind of stuff, is that when you say this, you go, what? So you think Harry Maguire's a better centre-back? Well, I never said that. I never said that. If you're going to line up Harry Maguire and Eric Bailly against each other, who's the better centre-back? Eric Bailly. A million %. Eric Bailly is a better centre-back than Harry Maguire, in my opinion. We talked about it earlier this season. He's better on the ball, in my opinion. Harry Maguire's got a good switch. Eric Bailly's better with the ball at his feet in tight spaces. But Harry Maguire was available and also incredibly protected under the old regime.
Which is what he's talking about, which is what
he's talking about, which is absolutely valid.
Yeah, and also, it's the other question is, well, not you specifically, Owen, this is to you, the community. Who's better, Lindelof or Bailly? Because essentially, Bailly's actually behind Lindelof too. It's not just that Maguire's playing ahead of him, he can't get a chance. Like, Lindelof's also been more rated than Bailly and playing more than Bailly all the time. There's another spot for him to be able to take, and he never takes Lindelof's ones. It's like managers like the steadiness of Lindelof. They like the composure of Lindelof. Like, before, I think Lindelof is actually a decent centre half. I actually do. I don't like, he can be a bit lightweight sometimes. Yeah, of course we used to have that. We can get bullied sometimes, but by and large, he's fairly steady. And up until recently, he's very reliable too. Like Raul says there, Lindelof is the calm one. And I'd go Bailly because he has more physicality, says Ryan, to be fair. Cafu says Bailly is better. Bailly is better than Lindelof, says Nathan. Lindelof is so overrated by our fan base. It's unreal, says Show Ramen. Gets embarrassing ratings. I disagree. Bailly is better overall, but Lindelof, this is interesting. I think Lindelof will improve a lot under Ten Hag. And someone said, I wanted to read that one. There you go. Ed T, member, says, Bailly is better overall, but Lindelof is a lot calmer and always fit. So then doesn't that make you the better option? Like,
I think
that is a weird one.
Well,
everyone basically thinks Bailly's better than Lindelof, but I think Lindelof is.
I think also as well, and again, I'm not trying to justify the selection choices of Ollie or Ranić or whatever, but I do think as a manager, even if that, say, Eric Bailly is a better centre-back than Maguire or Lindelof too, you do think to yourself, like, I want to put this guy in, but I also want to build a partnership and I want to build consistency. And putting this guy in, even if they had a good partnership, how do I know that partnership's going to be there in a couple of games? And there'll be fitness people at the club. There'll be sports scientists, even though they're rubbish, or they were rubbish at United, going, well, this is the history that he can only play this amount of time. We don't know what conversations are being had when it comes to that as well, right? So, but in terms of, to answer your question, because I won't want to avoid it, who's a better centre-back, Eric Bailly or Victor Lindelof? That's a tough one. They do different jobs, don't they?
Yeah. There's a cup final tomorrow. Who would you rather have?
Bailly in a cup final, Eric Bailly. As a one-off player in a one-off game, when especially a pressure situation, You probably want to have Eric Bailly in a cup final.
Oh, but then over the course of the season,
but across the season, you probably want Lindelof.
Yeah, so they do different, and you can rely on them for different things because you can't rely on Eric Bailly to be available for the whole season, but you can rely on him in a one-off game against a fast,
where it's going to be crazy and it's going to be pressure. You need last-ditch tackles.
Yeah,
Eric Bailly's your guy.
Yeah,
across the season, probably Lindelof's your guy.
Really interesting. That's why I like doing things that aren't just talking about transfers and hypotheticals, because actually we can talk about players that are our players and real things that are going on within the club with the players that we actually do have, even though he's technically on loan now, he's still our player. So yes, interesting. Get your thoughts in about that. Let us know what you think about Eric Bailly speaking out. Was it out of turn? Was it a bit too much? Let us know. Let's pick up the pace a little bit. Malacia's impact. There's been a couple of interviews with Malacia and about Malacia with his I think it's his fitness coach, and obviously Malacia's been talking as well.
Yeah,
let's talk about this kid, because some people are still saying he's not better than Luke Shaw as well.
Yes, so a couple of interviews that he's done, a couple of key quotes I wanted to pick out. He did an interview with Manchester United. He was asked, you just turned 23, how would you describe yourself as a defender? He said, I bring a lot of energy, I'm good at defending, and I like to attack. Fast, strong, I love the game. Very Patrice Evra-ish, that, isn't it? I love this game, I love the game.
Yeah.
But this is where it really kicks in. So he was asked about Erik ten Hag, working under Erik ten Hag, and he was asked, does he, Ten Hag, have the type of winning character that every squad needs to build success? And Malacia said, yeah, of course. It's all with the mentality. That's where it all starts. You start playing football, but first you have to start winning your duels. You have to give everything, and that's what we need. And again, that's quite reflective of what we've really seen on the pitch, isn't it, recently? That's really what we've seen since he's sort of come into the team. Now, there was an interview with his, as I mentioned, his personal trainer, Jordan Kroon. It was done by Sport Bible, and offered some interesting insights to Malacia. He said, quote, most of the time, he's the last player at the Manchester United training field who's leaving, and in the dressing room who's leaving. Most of the time, at the end of the day, he calls me and films the dressing room, and everybody is already gone. So that's a good thing. Now, when asked about sort of his social media presence, he also said he is not a social media guy. He is really into a lot of things like reading books and self-development. He is really into himself. So you will not see him in many restaurants, or you will never see him in a club or that kind of thing. He is really a guy that is really focused and who is really looking forward to every game and who is looking forward to developing his game. And he's always thinking, how can I become better? Where can I do things better? How am I going to spend tomorrow? When is the next training? So a really serious guy who's always looking for better performances. Now, obviously, it's an interview of his personal trainer. He's going to be saying positive things about him. It's an interview with Manchester United media. It's going to be positive things. But I think it is a good discussion point about his influence. I did a tweet yesterday, Flex, and I don't think it can be understated, the influence that Malacia's had on Manchester United, because I think his style of play, his energy, while he might not have the quality of other fullbacks in the league, I think his energy and his tenacity and his aggression clearly is infectious. And it's infectious across that back four. I think people like Malacia, people like Martinez, who have that extra bit of aggression, that extra drive that Manchester United just haven't had for a long time, that real care and want to win, that drive to win at all costs. It's starting to spread across particularly the back four, but the entire side too. And I really do think that back four have really been the spark of this sort of recent winning run for United. You know, we can talk about individual players, but it all comes from that back four. Really, and it bleeds through the team.
It's infectious, and I think he's been brilliant. Has he been beaten in one-on-one duels a couple of times? Yeah, if people got past him, yes. But he never gets knocked back by it. And Gary Neville was talking about it. Like, you look at the last minutes of that Arsenal match, and the last minutes of all the matches he's been playing in, he plays with the same intensity as he does in the 94th minute as he does in the first minute, and it's testament to how aggressive the kid is. And I just think there's different styles of left back, and I think that Malacia seems to be one that's more of what the demands of a modern fullback. Like, we're yet to see it in terms of, like the assist side of it and whipping in really dangerous balls, like what Chilwell would do, or like what Reece James would do, or like what Trent would do, or Robertson when he's been in his prime. Those types of fullback, Cancelo and stuff like that, putting in real dangerous balls and stuff like that. But I think we're not, again, it's about stages and developments. Ten Hag obviously wants his fullbacks to contribute going forward, and Dallow's starting to do that as well. But if you just break it down and go back to basics, you need tenacious fullbacks. You need fullbacks that are going to be really aggressive, going to get up people, going to make it ugly, make it horrible. Let the winger know that shit. You ask Salah how he still feels about that game when Malacia was just on him. He's probably still pissed off now. Even though Saka did okay against Malacia.
Yeah, I thought at times Malacia struggled a bit against Saka, but I also think he recovered
Saka
well.
will leave. He recovered well, and Saka will leave that game saying that Malacia kid's all right. He's good. Same with Dalot. People who are playing against Dalot right now ain't leaving the thing saying he's a pushover. I know I can just get in behind him and he's out of position, or I can just get past him. No, he's either going to foul me up, make it horrible, or he's just going to get the better of me. And Malacia, I think, he's been that breath of fresh air that we've needed. Now, we do have to be a bit careful because he is young, and it's almost like, and I'm not saying I want this to happen, but it's almost like you're going, okay, over to you now, Luke Shaw. Can you respond? Can you respond? Because essentially, I want Man United to be the best version of itself it can be. Do I believe that Luke Shaw can raise it to the levels again to give us what we need? I don't think so. I think he's proved, to me, in my opinion, I think he's had long enough to evolve, to change. He's had patience. He's had a little bit of competition from Tellez, which worked for one season, but not the second. He's had enough. But under a new manager, you get another chance. And he had a chance in 2 games and was part of a really poor unit, like a lot of players who even still playing now are, but particularly that back line. And it's over to Luke Shaw to see how you answer that. But Malacia, I'm not surprised to hear them comments that, he's quite quiet and just focused on his game, his craft. He looks like he literally eats, sleeps, and breathes football. And he's just so tenacious. He's got massive, massive high levels of fitness, and he just keeps going. He's everything I want from a left back. He gets me off my seat. He gets me emotionally involved in his performance. And I think that's important for players, because one thing is to just play your game and to do your thing and do what the manager asks you. But the next level, like the top players and the players where you really start to create something, are the ones that can connect with the fans through their performances. The ones where every time the fans watch you, they love what you're doing. They buy into what you're doing. So when you do have a mistake, when you do go on a little run of a couple of bad games, or you have a little bit of a wobble, everyone just believes in you. Everyone just knows the fight that you have. So that gets reciprocated in the support that they're going to have for you.
Yeah, and again, I think in comparison to Shaw, whilst Malacia, like you said, doesn't have the quality of other left-backs in the league yet that we've seen, and he can develop it because he is still young, but I just think the difference between him and Shaw is I don't see, like it says on the screen there, Salvin, like I don't see him giving the work rate. I don't see Shaw rather giving the work rate that Malacia is giving right now. And that tenaciousness
game, to work at that intensity just isn't his game.
The Premier League's evolving to the point where it is just like, and maybe it's getting almost more simplistic in this essence, that it's just who wants it, who literally wants it. And like the work rate is paramount now. You can't, the days of teams coming to Old Trafford, when back in Sir Alex days where a team would come to Old Trafford, we wouldn't even have to play that well. They'd already lost. They'd lost before the game. The ball was even kicked. We would just dominate, goal, beat them. Like that you have to outwork your opponent every single time now. And like you said, every team, look up and down the Premier League, even a team that's like 14th or 13th in the league has got proper quality in their team, like real good quality that he's going to be going up against. And as he mentions in the interview, it's about winning your duels. And against Arsenal, look, he didn't win all of them. He did struggle, I thought, at points. A couple of points in the match view, I said, man, Saka's got him on toast, roasted him. But it didn't stop the commitment. And again, particularly in the second half, I thought as the game went, I thought he recovered quite well. But there are going to be those games that there are better wingers than he is. You know what I mean? There are better wingers that will be going up against him, and he's going to struggle. But as long as he puts
to be fair, though, in the Premier League, not too many better than Saka. Like that's one of the upper. If you think about the actual wingers in the league, he's in there. He's up there as one in the top echelon. Isn't it? Really, there's not going to be much better.
Yeah, but my point is,
played him.
My point is, at other clubs, they've all got that quality now. There's not any, very few teams in the Premier League which will go, their wingers are rubbish. Not that everyone's got a Bukayo Saka, but he's going to get tested every single week. And again, I think that he just offers that, again, that aggression that I don't think Luke Shaw has. And I'm not sure, honestly, not sure Luke Shaw's ever had that aggression in his game.
No,
that proper
he hasn't.
get at you.
Maybe like when he
You know
was
what I mean?
really young, like where he was looking really promising. But I want to just add this in as a conversation point before we move on to the next topic. It would be interesting to see, because you have to look at things from the other side. We have won football matches with Luke Shaw before. It's not like we've lost every single game every time he's played. We've beat big teams with the likes of Lindelof and Maguire at the back, and when we had Dan James and Lingard, and we have won football matches with these teams with counter-attacks and stuff like that. So what I'm saying is it would be interesting to see Luke Shaw in this new first team. Now you see how McTominay's playing better because of like the options around him and like the people around him and the setup that's around him. Would Luke Shaw, and this is a question for you guys, would Luke Shaw play better now that he's next to Martinez? I know, but Marty was next to him the first couple of games. He's next to Martinez. Anthony's giving balance on the other side. The midfield is better now. Like, could there be a change in Luke Shaw because the outfit and how we're actually playing and the confidence is up? Or is the only factor that, no, it's because Malacia is in charge of that?
Yeah, I really don't think so. I don't. I mean, I think we saw it in the first 2 games of the season. And I know there was a slightly different team and Maguire was in the back 4, but I just don't see the similar qualities, to be honest. I don't see. How many times have we seen on like the left-hand side where you go, sure, like make a run, overlap, doesn't do it. Or
do you think he might start doing that now?
Get back in.
Now he's seen that that's what I've got to do to get back in his team.
But Flex, how long has he been at United for? When did he sign for Man United? 2014. Been at the club 8 years. And how far is he in his career at this point? If Ten Hag could somehow manage to bring that out of him after playing for United for 8 years, then I don't know.
Is Luke Shaw a good backup option?
Oh yeah, of course he is. He's not a bad left back, but at this point, for what Ten Hag needs, Malacia offers more. Yeah. He offers more. He offers tenacity, offers aggression, offers stamina. Luke Shaw doesn't have that. Luke Shaw technically is decent. Gets the ball in the box. His delivery's pretty good. I think he's fairly comfortable on the ball. Experienced as well. Like, he scored a goal. He scored a goal in a European Championship final just a year ago, over a year ago for England. Yeah. And that season going into it, he was excellent. But it's amazing how quickly football evolves, and it almost feels like already it's kind of passed him by a little bit. He definitely stagnated last season. He was.
So you don't see a way back. You don't see like a swing in momentum.
He lost his place to Alex. He lost his place to Alex Telles last season, Flex, and Alex Telles is not good. He's gone.
He played shit yesterday as well against City.
Yeah,
he's playing left wing.
And you're talking about competing, and I know the last time he had to fully compete, Luke Shaw, he actually upped his game. But again, who was he competing against? He wasn't competing against a player like Malacia. He was competing against someone like Alex Telles. And I just feel like I don't know if Luke Shaw's got it in him to match those kind of levels, not of quality, but of again, determination or aggression.
And that's what the manager's asking for. The manager wants that. Dallow's doing it. Dallow's gone up the gear to play.
Whereas
in that
someone
way.
like McTominay, it's never been a case, I don't think, of like, oh, where's your fight, where's your aggression? Because he's got that. Yeah. I don't see that main character attribute in Luke Shaw. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, interesting point. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Let's go. Carragher talks Martinez.
Yes, let's talk about this because Jamie Carragher, he's got the condition, Flex. He can't take
What's
the
the
L.
Condition?
He can't take the L. He can't. He's got the condition because obviously there was another overlap podcast, right, with Gary Neville and Carragher and some other content creators. And when they were discussing Manchester United and the defense, Neville asked him, "Have you changed your mind on Martinez?" By the way, because of course after that, particularly that Brentford game, it was on Monday Night Football, wasn't he, saying it can't work? I think the statement was he cannot be a Premier League centre back because of his height. It cannot work. Right? Carragher responded saying, quotes, "I think he's a good player. I wouldn't want a centre-back who's 5'9" in my team. I would not." Now, Neville said, he pressed him on him. He's saying, whoa. You said it couldn't work in the Premier League. And then Carragher started to say, wow, let's not get carried away. He said, quote, "We've had 4 games of Martinez being on form. You're getting carried away. If Odegaard scores the opening goal, then you'd be saying he made a mistake. But for a defender to be 5'9" and play, never mind in the Premier League, at any level of football, he's got to be a good player because that is not normal. His passing is very good. He looks very aggressive. He looks like a leader. He's not a bad player, but to play at that level of football at 5'9", I wouldn't want to play alongside someone who was 5'9" as a centre-back. Now, he did concede that he can be a great defender and not particularly tall because people cited the greats such as Franco Baresi and Bobby Moore. Not to say that Martinez is that. He added, quote, so far for Martinez to play at this level, he's obviously a good player. He has to be because of his height, but at times that will cost him. But if he is a 9 out of 10 at everything else, it will compensate for being 5'9", because at times, if you are that height, you'll get exposed, as we saw in the first 2 games. What do you think about all that? Did he get exposed in the first 2 games, by the way?
He didn't. Like, it's just,
this is what I mean.
There's this lazy narrative that he lost all his due. Like, and Ten Hag said it best, and I liked how strong Ten Hag was. Even in our worst
Jamie
moments
Carragher.
of defeat. Yeah, he said,
Jamie
well,
Carragher.
you can think this, but he's winning his deals. The stats don't back up what you're saying. You could say that the teams, the only fact that Jamie Carragher was right with was that those teams went long to try and target him. That doesn't mean he lost the duels. That doesn't mean that they were successful. He was just, what Jamie Carragher was doing was kind of doing like a confirmation bias to the correlation between the result and them targeting Martinez must mean that it's because they targeted Martinez is why they won the game. When in reality, those 2 games against Brighton and Brentford, we didn't lose the game because every time they went long to Martinez, he lost his duel. Then someone picked up the flick on or the second ball and then they scored. So that's what it just kept hurting us. That's not why Brighton and Brentford beat us. But what he was trying to do was highlight the fact that, look at this. This is their long pass stats from last season. And this is their long pass stats from this season. And it's only been 2 games. Or 1 game against United. And look, the percentage of long passes is a lot higher because they know this guy's playing. And that's why he can't play, because everyone who plays against them is just going to go long and target him. But then in the subsequent games, which completely proves the reason why you can't make that assumption after 2 games. And you also can't make that assumption after 6. You got to make it after probably a whole season, really. That it proves that you can't go off that, because in the subsequent games, Southampton with Che Adams tried it. A couple of times he got the better of him, had a couple of shots. Other times he got completely locked off. Leicester, Jamie Vardy, they didn't exactly knock balls over the top in the channels for Jamie Vardy to get through. I didn't see him. He didn't even have a shot. Got taken off. Your wife is a grass. That's what happened.
I think also as well, this is what I don't understand, the hypocrisy in this, because so he's allowed after 2 Premier League games to say flat out he cannot play as a centre-back in the Premier League after 2 games. But after 4 good games where he got man of the match twice, God, come on, it's 4 games. You can't get carried away. Can't judge it this early. Well, you did. You did judge it too early. You judged it after 2 games.
That's why you got to rate Joe from Stretford Paddock, because he put it on him.
Yeah.
Then. Or was it Adam? Yeah. Who said no? It was Joe. He was like, but you basically said that after 2 games this is why he can't play.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like he was saying
rip him off.
If he would have said, because you know what, Jamie Carragher isn't the worst part. I actually quite like Jamie Carragher as a pundit, but where he went wrong was that he said, if he would have said, this is why I think Man United may struggle, because if all the other teams keep targeting him, it'd be interesting to see what happens there, because he is quite small and they're trying to go long in his channel. But to say he can't play in the Premier League and here's why, it was almost like to say, I've worked it all out. Everyone stop talking about it. I've worked it out. It's seen it all. He can't play. And I think even he would look back on that already and say, I probably went a little bit too strong on that.
Yeah.
Well, way too strong.
Clearly. And then again, because this is what was wild. He got man of the match in back-to-back Premier League games after that, right? 2 games. Your sample size of him being good, it was just as big as it was as him being bad. Well, he wasn't bad. The data did not support that. And again, it's suddenly, it's too soon. It's too soon. I don't know about that. And he goes, what's going on? And this is what's weird, what I don't get with it as well. There is it's almost getting to the point where it's getting bizarre at this point. The fascination with a player's height, I can't ever recall it.
It's pathetic.
I cannot ever recall the fascination about a player's height. About, maybe if there was a super tall player, if we're talking Peter Crouch, you go, he's a tall guy. But we're talking the fascination of him being small. ish.
Yeah.
You know,
And now any header,
but he's not playing badly. If he was
no, he's
playing
not playing
badly, you'd point out to it.
But
But
there's
he's
more than
not.
one way to everyone who's saying that thing about keep talking about his height. It's just a lazy argument because there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to play a football match. There's more than one way to be a good player. Like just because you're small and may not win every single header that you go for, that doesn't mean that you're not right for our team. That doesn't mean that you're not right for how we want to play. And that doesn't mean you can't be successful in the most physical league in the world. It doesn't mean that. Because what he lacks in height, he makes up for. The tallest, most gigantic players can't play with that tenacity, can't play with that aggression, can't read the game how he reads the game, don't play the ball out from the back how he plays the ball out from the back. Do you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I think that we know what we're getting. We trust in our manager. And of course, there's going to be a game when Martinez makes a mistake that leads to a goal. There's going to be a game when
we've seen
Mitrovic can flip in. Vinicius gets skinned by Fernando Torres all the time. Like it happens.
We've seen ginormous tall centre backs in the Premier League that have been shit. Like I don't understand the logic behind it. I really don't. And not even that. Like he goes, "Oh, what's going to happen when he faces Haaland?" He's faced Haaland for Ajax last season
with Timber, another small centre back, and they marshalled him.
And they won 4-1, 4-2. Oh my goodness! And to the point of like. Even in a game, say he does have a duel with someone that he loses. Now it's good, and it's only one of them in the game. The rest he wins. He got bullied. Did you see that happen? There, it happened once.
Like, 100%.
Oh, my goodness,
you know what I mean? It's bizarre. But then Varane a couple of times went to get the header on Jesus a couple of times. Jesus is so bloody strong. Varane just had to wrestle with him and just do the hardcore thing. Couldn't win it all the time. Does that mean Varane shit? No. It means that he came up against a good striker, and some duels you're going to win, some you're not. But overall, we kept him quiet and didn't score. So,
but just the absolute nature of it cannot work. He cannot play as a centre back in the Premier League, and now there's evidence to the contrary. Not that there was evidence against it in the first place. There's evidence to the contrary, and it's still like no, too early.
Daniel Hodgson says, "Can Bruno play?" Before we wrap up, can Bruno play in a possession-based team? Well, I had loads of question marks about what it would be like when Bruno's asked to do a different role, and. So far, he's doing okay. He's doing well. You can't say he's not. I think again the impact of Eriksen. I think the impact of that calming nature and how we play. And you've got someone on there who really will find Bruno in his most effective spaces. The fact that the system allows Bruno to still operate as the number 10 and almost, you can just focus on breaking the lines with his passing. And you've got Eriksen for the build-up play and to initiate the attacks. And you let Scott just go win the ball. The balance is working. So far, so good. He just needs to keep it up. Faz, big up Faz, comes through with the super chat. Big up Planet Faz. Faz says, Martinez outperforming Van Dijk and it burns. Let it burn, baby. We are coming for everyone's neck. Insecure settings. Harry Maguire is huge and does nothing right. Exactly. Basically what Faz is saying. Yeah, just because you're big, mate, don't mean you're good. Harry Maguire is one of the biggest centre-backs in the league. Yeah. And we know what his things are.
There's no correlation between height and quality.
Exactly. Shalil Patel says, Flex, you can't teach Luke being aggressive and passionate for defending or overlap. He has a mental block from his injury, which he will never overcome. Interesting. Maybe we'll never see the best of Luke Shaw. Is this the end of Luke Shaw? And Faz says, I like Eric Ramsey. Did some research. He is doing okay. Faz, you need to Elsa this. It's gone. Yeah. It's gone. Just let it go. I saw Faz responding to every. You was responding to every single person after that show. Just let it go. Just take the L. It's fine. Yeah, you're just digging deeper. He said he's done some research. He's doing okay. Small. But he's still diabolical at set. So he's still sticking by the same thing. Just let it go.
He said he's got the condition. He's got the condition. Can't take the L. Got the condition.
Yeah. KG looked down the lens and was speaking to you yesterday, Faz. I don't know if you see it. Make sure you watch Flexing KG. So Faz, KG had some good words of encouragement for you, bro. Check out the big bro KG, what he said for you. Guys, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you very much for watching. We've got a busy day today. We've got Ten Hag's press conference coming out. So we'll see what he thinks going into this Champions League game.
Oh, you're a disgrace, Flags. Oh, no.
I was doing the watch along last night. Champions League mode, isn't it? European game. We'll see what he thinks going into this European game.
Just the way you went Champions.
Yeah.
No.
Hurts, man. Hurts. But here's what it is, isn't it? Got a good chance of winning it. We'll be doing the Europa League press conference reaction later on and see how Ten Hag is shaping up for his first European game as Manchester United, which actually I think is going to be quite exciting, seeing a lot of changes and a lot of question marks over a lot of players. So it'll be interesting to see how they play. And we will see you all again later on today. We are out of here, guys. Peace.